Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is JDavis, and I am excited to introduce you again to our weekly segment of our fabulous Marc Z Moment with the one and only Marc Z Welcome back, Marc.
Jeff, it's fantastic to be here. I will tell you this. As you know, planes, trains, and automobiles would not stop me from being here today with you and the show.
You are a force of nature, Marc. You do say it. So, Marc, so much going on. What's the topic?
Well, the topic I think should be earning everybody's ears, whether you're an employee, prospective employee, or an employer, in that starting the end of October of this year, we're having pay transparency. And what pay transparency is that employers of a certain size, I believe it's 20 employees and up, have to start posting what the salary ranges are if they're posting a job. And then if a prospective employee asks what a job is paying, you have to, as the employer, prospective employer, give them the salary range.
That's a Massachusetts law?
Massachusetts law. So that's something
I think that's great because so many times talking to executives who are moving positions, and
right,
I say to them, "What's their pay scale?" And they're like, "They never told me."
right. And you know what? It's like a lot of employers are saying, well, it's depending on experience. It's also depending on so many factors, and a lot of them are subjective factors that go into determining a salary. Well, now, when you're applying for a job, you can get that information. And the purpose, again, is to have equality amongst the prospective employees. Um,
Well, when you talk about, and we'll take one of the more simpler examples, that gender compensation issues, that's supposed to eliminate gender compensation issues.
right, right.
Great.
And right, and by doing so, you have a more, in the analysis, a more equal playing field. And Massachusetts, a few years ago, started a law where no longer would employers, prospective employers, be able to look at salary history when you completed an application or you're applying for a job. They have to offer what the job would pay or what the candidate's expectations are in terms of salary. So they could no longer ask what you were making. They can only ask what your salary expectations are. This salary transparency ruling law now will say to the employers, not only do you have to pay or offer a position consistent with what the employee is looking for, or have transparency in only addressing what the prospective employee is looking for. The new law says this is what the job is paying. So you
So,
might be looking for, as the prospective employee, saying, look, listen, here's a job. I'm looking for 100,000. The salary range of the job, if you're qualified, might be 125 to 140, but again, you're only looking for
I,
100. Then they have to pay within that range.
I have a quick question for you before we
Sure.
go. As somebody you know near and dear me, a young man takes a job with a regional office of a national company. Is their pay scale different nationally than it is in this region? And how does it?
That's a great question. What a lot of employers are by posting jobs with salary ranges, because a lot of employers in certain states are doing it already in terms of having pay transparency, like New York and other jurisdictions. The pay scale is usually what the market is paying,
So it's
not the same.
Massachusetts.
Yes. So in this case, it's Massachusetts employers. So if you have a national company and they're in their offices in Massachusetts, they have to have pay transparency, even though where they're headquartered, that state does not have pay transparency.
Good. Well, as I always say, a quick Marc Z moment, always extraordinarily valuable. Marc, if someone wants to get hold of you and find out more information, where do they go?
Well, first of all, go on to our wonderful Radio Entrepreneurs website, radioentrepreneurs.com. You're going to see a host of our guests, including myself. Google Marc Z, MARC and the letter Z, marczlegal.com, MARCZLEGAL.com, and 617-338-1300.
Marc, you're going to be here again next week on Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm sure you're going to be doing this using a Yankee bat again and hitting it out of the park. So,
Thank you.
find everybody. This is Radio Entrepreneurs.